Hey, it's Dave, cheapwinefinder.com. We're doing another New Year's Eve party wine. This time we have a California outpost of a iconic French champagne house, Louis Roederer. He has a 600-acre estate in Anderson Valley, Mendocino. Anderson Valley is about 100 miles north of San Francisco, and it runs along the coast. So it is a cold or cool weather, foggy place, all the things you want to grow wonderful Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And all they grow up there is Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And they basically make their wines in Mendocino in the same way that they do in Champagne. The key to them is that they always, after first fermentation, they age their wines in French oak barrels for a while before they then go to second fermentation. And with this non-vintage, the Roederer Estate Brut is a non-vintage wine, and they will take several different vintages of this barrel aged Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and to put them together into the cuvee that makes up this wine. So it's a little bit different. Not everybody barrel ages their Chardonnay and their Pinot Noir for Champagne. And this is not Champagne. It's a sparkling wine. Champagne is only from Champagne, but Roederer is doing their Champagne techniques in Mendocino County. And I'm going to have a sip because I have Champagne in my hand and I'm going to take a sip. This is a wine I found on sale for $17. I think it lists for $28, which gets fairly close to entry-level champagnes, but I think you're going to find this on, for $17 seems $16, $17 is inexpensive, but it's going to be on sale this time of year. And the question is what's the difference between entry-level champagne and wines made in the same style with the same techniques with the same know-how from other growing areas that often come in for less money? And in this case, you got me. I don't know if I could tell this apart from a French champagne in a blind tasting. I mean, I've read somewhere that the wines from Champagne have more atmospheres in the bottle. That's the pressure inside the bottle. The French champagnes have more atmosphere in the bottle than other countries do. And that might be true here. But, other than when you pop the top and the wine overflows, like with champagne in it, which it does fairly often, you're not going to know the difference. I mean, after it's done overflowing, you're not going to know. You get it in your glass, and this thing is delicious. It won last year. It was the number 27 wine in the Wine Spectator Top 100 Wines. It's a non-vintage wine, so, it's the same thing in 2019. And all the different wine magazines gave this wine 92 points or better. And it's a fairly inexpensive considering what Champagne is, and it grades out like Champagne does or better. It is made the exact same way as Champagne or better. This one is 2 years in the bottle. Second fermentation is at least 24 months. And there's different lots, so some lots could be more than some lots less, but they're all going to be at least 24 months. And in Champagne, you have to be at least a year and a half, 18 months. So it goes beyond the regulations for Champagne. And they mention in their tasting notes organic and biodynamic vineyards. Biodynamic, if you haven't read about that, is the old school way of farming where they actually do things. They plant and they do things based on the phases of the moon. I mean, they make wine-making decisions based on the phases of the moon. It's really old way of making wine. And the organic too, and I don't know if they are certified organic. The label on the wine didn't say it. And if you're not certified organic, the label won't say it. And maybe it's a blend of non-organic and organic vineyards. I believe they have 600 acres. There's got to be more than just one vineyard there. But it's made to very high specifications. I mean, at least part of it seems to be organic and part of it seems to be biodynamic. Then take another sip because, it's been a couple of minutes since I took the last sip. I'm drinking champagne. Why would you want to talk and not sip? And it's delicious. It has this balanced acidity. I mean, the flavors just go on and on and on. And it's 60% Chardonnay, 40% Pinot Noir. So it's got a little mix of those flavors. It's got the crispness of Chardonnay wine, and it's got a little bit of that rounded flavors you get with the Pinot Noir. And the acidity just allows the flavors to actually get stronger as they go along. It's kind of interesting. And the first sip is like, whoa, it kind of expands on your palate. That's not a bad thing to happen with champagne or sparkling wine. I shouldn't say champagne again. My bad. Again, sparkling wine, bubbly. Just because Roederer is the people who own this thing, I'm using the wrong term. But this is a very, very nice sparkling wine. And it's made to high standards. It's made with great grapes. It's all estate fruit. One thing I noticed in their tasting notes, he talked about pressing the grapes. And they said when you press grapes, there's always the first press. And to get the most out of the juice, there's usually 2 or 3 other pressings. So here they said they only use the first press because they said the first press is the best one. And they think the quality goes down with the second or third pressing. So again, a light bulb came off in my head. And like when you get an inexpensive wine, like it's a wine from Napa Valley that's selling for $13. You might be, they said they sell off the second and third pressings. They keep the first pressings for themselves. So when you get a Napa Valley wine that's very inexpensive, you might be getting the second or third pressing. Now, that's not a bad thing, and I'm going off on a tangent here, for a wine that's like a third the price or half the price of what it would be if it was first pressing. I have no problem at all at that point. They said it's not as good, but doesn't mean it's bad. So, but everything, to the point is everything here is done to exacting standards. There is no shortcuts with this wine. And it tastes delicious. At $17, it goes one-on-one with entry-level champagnes. Like I said, Roederer does Cristal, and they have a couple of very fancy top-of-the-line other bottlings, and they do wonderful things there. And there's not too many wine regions that can go one-on-one with the high-end champagnes, the exclusive ones, the very special runs. But entry-level, yeah, you can kind of go after them and kind of meet them and come in a little bit cheaper like this one does. I'm not saying that entry level, and it's kind of weird to say a $35, $40 wine is entry level, but for champagne it is. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those wines because there's not. But I'm saying that there are less expensive wines made in the exact same way with equally good grapes and equally good winemakers with equally good specifications that you can buy out there. And this is just one of them. So keep that in mind when you're buying wine for the New Year's Eve. I mean, at $16, $17, you can get 2 of these bottles for, a fancy name brand wine that you probably couldn't tell the difference. And I know there's some people who can tell the difference, but you probably can't. You in a blind tasting, which one's French, which one's California, you're flipping a coin. So keep that in mind when you're at New Year's Eve. You can get 2 bottles of this for 1 bottle of the French stuff. And are you losing anything by getting the Roederer Estate Brut? No, not at all. You're getting a really good wine. And I think that's it for me for this one. I think we got one more wine for the holidays coming up before the New Year sets in. So we'll get some more party helps on the way. And that's it for me. Hope you had a great Christmas, and I'll be talking to you before the new year. Keep it cheap. Adios, and